Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In this guide, I'm going to show you how to create your very own custom character model for the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. Here is what we are making. I took the default Nord female character and replaced their base model with a custom 3D model. To do this, we'll start by exporting game assets, like character mesh files, using FModel. Then we'll bring those into Blender for editing. After that, we'll move into Unreal Engine and set everything up, then package the mod and finally install it to the game. So if you're ready, let's get started. First, we need to download FModel. Head over to this website and download it like this. The link is in the video description. Once you've downloaded the file, open it with WinRAR 7-zip. Then extract the content inside it to a new folder. It's a single file, just drag and drop. Then go ahead and open that folder and launch FModel. If this is your first time using FModel, you'll see a setup menu pop up. Here is what you need to do. First, click on the game directory option, and here, navigate to your game installation folder, where your game files are. There is a folder called Oblivion Remastered. Select it, and confirm. Next, we need to set the Unreal Engine version using this option. Make sure to choose Unreal Engine version 5.3. That's super important. Then click OK. Now FModel starts loading. Then you'll probably get a message saying there is an update available. Click to update it. Hit yes. And let it finish. FModel will restart after update. Give it a few seconds and then it will start loading the files on the left hand side. Now, if this isn't your first time using FModel, you won't see the setup screen. Instead, you'll be taken straight into the app when you launch the FModel. Still, make sure to update it, just like before. Then, to access the setup again, go to Directory and choose Selector. That will bring up the setup screen back. So, you set up your game directory and Unreal Engine version just like we did before, and OK. Alright, next, we need a mapping file. You can download it from Nexus Mods. I've included the link in the video description. Come to Files and download it manually. Open it after you download it, and drag and drop this file somewhere you can find easily. Now, jump back into FModel and go to Settings. In the General tab, scroll down to Advanced. Here, check the box for local mapping. Then click on this to browse. Now locate the mapping file we just downloaded. Select it and hit Open. And then finally click OK. And after that we are good to go. Alright, on the left side under Game Archives, you'll see all the files. They are now loaded and ready to open and export. Let's go ahead and do that. First, up here in Load mode, make sure to set this to All. Then click Load. You'll be taken to the folder section. Give it a few seconds to finish loading, and you'll start to see some list of folders. The one we want is called Oblivion Remastered, this one. Go ahead and open that. Inside, open the Content folder. Okay, these folders are containing the game assets. Each holds a specific types of asset. Most of what we are looking for, like character models, armors, weapons, can be found inside the Art folder. Open that, and you'll see some subfolders. You can usually tell what's inside them just by the folder's names. Since I want character models, I am heading into the characters folder. Here, we've got folders for each race, like Dark Elf, Imperial, and Nord, which is the one I'll be working with. Open the Nord folder, and inside you'll see another folder named Vampire, but we are not using that one. To view and extract files from the Nord folder, first make sure you have the folder selected. It should be highlighted in blue. Now go up to the top bar and click Packages tab here. You'll now see a list of files stored inside that folder. The files are named based on their function. MIC stands for Material Instance. SK stands for Skeleton, which is actually the mesh model. T stands for Texture. Every model usually includes these three types. Since we are exporting the 3D model, we are focusing on the SK files. To figure out which skeleton file belongs to which body part or gender, just read their name. For example, SK Nord Body F stands for Skeleton Nord Race Body Female. F stands for female. If you see M instead of F, that means male. Now, find the model you want to edit. For me, it's Nord female body. Double-click the file to open it. This will load it up the 3D viewer, where you can inspect and navigate around the model using your keyboard and mouse. Once you've confirmed it's the right one, let's export. Make sure the file is selected. Right-click on it and choose Save Model. Now wait a few minutes to export. FModel will export the mesh along with its textures and materials all together. When it's done, you'll see a message confirming the export. You can click on it to directly navigate to the export location. But let's go there manually to better understand where everything is saved. Head over to your FModel installation directory. You'll see a folder called Output. This gets created automatically after we set up FModel. Open that, then go into the Exports folder. Inside, you'll see two folders. One is called Game. This contains the mesh file, which will be open in Blender. The other one is Oblivion Remastered. This holds the textures and materials for our model. So because we need the 3D model, we go inside the game folder. You'll notice the folder structure here is the same as what we saw inside FModel. So just follow the same path, opening the folders one by one until you reach the file you exported. The mesh file you're looking for will be a PSK file. That's the 3D model format we get. Once you've got it, we are ready to import it into Blender and start editing. Let's start by downloading Blender. I'm going to download the latest version available, and I recommend you to do the same. This way we ensure everything works smoothly with the plugins we'll be using. Once it's downloaded, open the installer and run through the setup. It's a simple process. Just follow the installer instructions. Now, we'll need a plugin for Blender called the Unreal PSK PSA. This allows us to import PSK mesh files, like the one we just exported from FModel. Head over to this website and click Get Add-on. Then click Download. This version is for Blender 4.2 and above. If you're using an older Blender version, no worries. Just go to this GitHub page, scroll down to the versions, and download the plugin that matches your Blender version. Once you've installed Blender and downloaded the right plugin, let's launch Blender. On the Startup screen, choose General to create a new project. Now let's install the plugin. At the top, go to Edit, then Preferences. In the Preferences window, go to Add-ons tab. Click this button here on the top right and choose Install from Disk. Then locate the plugin file you downloaded. It's probably a zip or RAR file. Select it and click Install from disk. After it's installed, use the search bar to find the add-on by name. Then make sure to check the box next to it. This will activate it. Once it's activated, you can close the Preferences window. We are ready to import and edit the model. First, in the scene, select all the default objects like the cube, light, and camera, and press Delete to clear everything out. Then switch over to the modeling workspace, and make sure you're in the object mode. Let's import the model. Go to the file at the top, then go to Import. You should now see an option that says Unreal PSK. That means the add-on is working correctly. Click that, and then locate the mesh file you exported earlier from FModel, the PSK file. This is it. Before you import it, there are few important settings we need to set up. Set import components to mesh and armature. Make sure to check all the available boxes. Set the color space to sRGBA. Change bone length to something like 3 or 4. And most importantly, this one is important. Set the scale to 0.01, 0.01. Once all those settings are good to go, select your PSK file and click Import. Give it a few seconds and you're done. The model is now in Blender, fully loaded. To navigate around the scene, you can use these tools on the side, or use these keyboard shortcuts. Okay, first let's take a closer look at what we are working with. Over here in the collection panel, you'll find everything we imported. This is the armature, which controls the character's pose using bones. You can select it and switch to pose mode from here, and move the bones using these options to adjust the model's pose. Then we have the mesh object, which is the actual 3D model. And inside, you can find the materials. Materials define the surface appearance like textures and shaders. Every mesh file has its own. Now let's make basic edits to the mesh. First, select the 3D model itself. Then go to this drop-down here, and switch from Object Mode to Edit Mode. You'll now see the model made up of dots and lines, these called edges and vertices. Over on this side, you'll find selection tools that let you choose what part of the mesh to edit. Once you've selected the area you want to change, like a section of the body, you can delete it. You can also change the viewport shading up here to get a better look at what you are doing. Wireframe mode is great for precise editing. For example, I am going to delete these parts. I'll select them and hit the delete key and choose vertices. And just like that, it's gone. If I save and install the model like this, those deleted parts will be invisible in the game because we physically removed them from the mesh. So, that was one way to edit the model, but that's just the beginning. Still in edit mode, we can also select specific parts and reshape them. Let me show you. First, select the area you want to work on. Then use these tools here. Move, rotate, scale to transform just that part of the mesh. Now, to make your edits smoother and more natural, enable proportional editing by clicking this icon up here. Once that's on, try to move the parts again. You see the difference, right? And you'll notice this halo. This is the proportional editing radius. Use your mouse scroll wheel while editing to increase and decrease the influence area. This controls how much the surrounding mesh moves with your selection. And as you can see, it gives you much more organic and flexible way to shape the model. And any change you will make with this also affecting the game. Now let's try a different method of editing, using a sculpt mode. First, make sure your model is selected in object mode, then switch over to a sculpt mode from this drop-down menu. Once you're in a sculpt mode, you'll see a whole new set of tools appear on here. These are your sculpting brushes, and each one does something different, like pulling, pinching, smoothing, and more. Try switching between them and experiment to see how they affect the model. It's the best way to figure this out. And to undo your move, press Ctrl plus Z. This is another powerful way to shape your character. It's more artistic and freeform. Just like before, any edits you make here will reflect in the game. So feel free to play around with it. Get creative. You can actually separate different parts of the model and edit them individually. For example, we have a body mesh and an underwear, but they are currently joined together as one object. To separate them, here is what you do. Select the model, go into edit mode, press A to select everything. Then right click and go to separate and choose by material. Because each part has its own material assigned, Blender knows how to split them. If they didn't have materials assigned to them, this option wouldn't work. You can also separate parts of the model based on a manual selection. So in edit mode, select the faces, the edges, the vertices you want to separate from each other. Then right click, go to separate, and choose by selection. And if you ever want to join objects back together, in object mode, select all the objects you want to combine, hold Ctrl and click to multi-select. Then go to the object menu at the top, choose join, and done. Now it's time to bring in our custom 3D model and replace it with the original one. But before we can do that, we need to make sure the new model is set up properly, so we can actually replace it without issues. Here is the deal. Each part of the original character model, like the body or the underwear, comes with assigned materials. A material is what allows us to apply textures to the model. It controls how the surface looks, like the color, the shine, and the fine details. We'll be applying those textures later inside Unreal Engine, but the materials have to set up correctly here in Blender, and they must match the ones used by the original model. That means for each object, like the body, we can only assign one texture. So if your costume model has multiple textures, like one for arms, one for legs, one for torso, you'll need to combine those into a single texture. For example, the model I want to replace has two full textures, one for the base body and one for the clothes. So what I'm going to do is assign the body texture to the original body material and the atomic texture to the underwear material. That works perfectly. Alright, let me show you how to exactly do that and how to prep the 3D model so we can replace it. So, we open Blender and start a new project. Just like before, delete everything in the scene, then switch to Modeling Workspace. Now go to File, Import, and choose the file format your model uses, the new model. For me, it's FBX. Locate the file, select it, and import it using the default settings. Okay, now the model is in the viewport, ready to work with. One of the most important requirements is that your model must have skeletons. These are necessary for posing. We're gonna use it when we are replacing the model. So make sure your custom 3D model includes them, only if it's a complex model. Now first, let's change the viewport shading to material preview. It's this icon here. This will show your model with its textures, if they are already assigned. If not, we'll need to assign the textures manually, and here is how. Select the object, the part of the model you want to apply texture to. Then switch to Shading workspace. In the viewport, zoom in and position your camera so you have a clear view of the model. Now, when you select the object, you'll see some nodes appear in the lower window, the shader editor. You can zoom out and pan around to get a better look. These nodes contains the texture files already assigned to our model, because mine are already assigned, and they are connected properly. If your model doesn't look like this, you'll need to set it up manually, which we are about to do. Let's say I have a model with separate torso, arms, and legs. First, select the object you want to assign a texture to, and make sure you're in shading mode. Go to Material Properties panel. It's this icon here. And in the Material tab, you'll see all materials assigned to the object. If you see nothing, that means the object doesn't have a material. If you see more than one, that means you have multiple materials. If there are no materials, click this plus icon here. Then click New to create one. Name your material something clear, something meaningful, based on what it affects. After that, once selected, your new material should have a principal BSDF node by default in the shader editor. Now, in shader editor, click Add, Texture, Image Texture, and place this new node near the principal one. Click Open. Locate the texture file for that part of the model. Every model should at least have two types of textures: base color, also known as diffuse, and normal map. Start with the base color texture. Select it and click Open. Then plug the color output, yellow dot, from the image texture into the base color input on the principal BSDF, like this. You'll see the texture applied to your model. And make sure for the base color texture, the color space, this option, is set to sRGB. Now, let's add the normal map. Just like before, add a new image node and click Open, and choose the normal map for that part of the model. Now, for normal map, we need to add another node. Go to Add, Vector, and Normal Map. Place it in between the texture and principal. Connect the color output from the image texture into color input on the normal map node. Then connect the normal output from the normal map node into the normal input on the principal BSDF. And set the color space for the normal map to non-color. Boom, done. You'll need to do this for every single object in your model. Create a material, assign the base color and normal map textures, and make sure they are connected correctly. If any part of your model already has its textures assigned and they are working correctly, skip this process. Leave them as they are. Eventually, make sure your entire model, the model you want to replace, has textures applied and visible in Material Shader. Now let's bake them. So in order to bake the textures, first, join all the objects together. The ones that you want to have one single texture for. Now, in the collection, select the new object, the one you joined, right-click and choose Copy, and then right-click again and choose Paste. Now we've got two of them. Good. Rename the second one to something like New, so we don't confuse it with the original one. Select the new one, go to Material Properties, and under the material list, remove all materials one by one. After that, add a new material, just one, and name it something that makes sense. Now, switch to Shading Workspace. Make sure the new model is selected, and the new material is also selected. In the shader editor, we are going to add an image texture node just like before. So go to Add Texture, Image Texture. This time don't open. Click New. In the menu that pops up, give it a name. And set the resolution to 1496 by 1496 for 4K. Then hit Create. Now, make sure the image node is selected and highlighted. You'll see it in the left side. You see the image in the left side is completely black. Now, click the editor type, this icon on the top left, and switch to UV editor, this option. Then, come to your viewport and change the model mode to edit mode. Press A to select everything that your model has. Okay, now, in the UV editor, you should see all the UVs. We need to fit all the UVs into that one image we made, without overlapping them. You can do it manually, but to do it automatically, make sure all the objects are selected. Then press U and select a Smart UV project. Then click Unwrap, and boom, they are in. Now, let's prepare for baking. First, select your original model from collection. Then hold Ctrl and select the new one. Now, go to Render Properties tab. It's this one. Switch the render engine to Cycle. Scroll down and find Bake option. It's this one. Open it. Change the bake type to Diffuse. This is it. This is for base color. We need base color first. Now uncheck Direct and Indirect options. Check Select to Active and open the section. Set Extrusion to 0.01. Leave everything else as default and hit Bake. Then just wait. It will take around 5 minutes, depends on your hardware. Alright, it's done. Now if you switch the UV editor to image editor, you'll see the baked image. It's also already assigned to the image node. So if you just plug this in to the principal BSDF base color, and the texture will apply directly to the model and you can see the difference. So if you hide the original model and only the new one remains, and this is it, a whole image texture for just one material, which covers all the objects, all the body parts. This is what you need. Now let's export this image. In the image editor, click on this, then go to Image, Save As. Pick a directory, name the file, and leave rest of the settings as default. Then hit Save as Image. Now let's bake the normal map or any other texture format we want. Select the image texture node, then Shift plus D to duplicate it. Place it nearby. Click the little X cross sign to remove the current image. Then just like before, hit new, then name it something, like normal map, and create it with the same resolutions. Make sure it's selected and highlighted. Back in the bake section, change the bake type to normal and hit bake again. Once it's done, go back to image editor and you'll see your new baked normal map. Now save it, then you have it. And that's it. Now you've got both base color and normal map textures working perfectly with your new material, and they are one single texture. Now that we baked the textures for this model, we also need to export the model in this current state. It's important to use the updated version because the full textures will not apply correctly to the previous model. After UV mapping, the model itself changes, which affects how the textures align. To proceed, make sure you delete everything extra in the scene. Just keep the new model we baked its textures. Then go to File, Export, and choose FBX format with its default settings, and extract the model. This newly exported model will now serve as our updated version, which we'll use to replace it with the existing model in the game. Let's go ahead and replace the model. Open Blender again and make sure your original model is already imported. Then go to File, Import. Pick the right file format. In my case, it's FBX. And bring in your new costume model. Now, as you can see, I've imported the new model on top of my original one. Let's go to the Collection panel and select the armature. That's the skeleton of your new model. And move it off to the side so we can get a clear view and know what we are working with. Also, you can change the viewport. My new model includes full body and out of it, and all the out of it parts are joined and their textures are baked. That means we only need one material to texture the out of it, and the same goes for the body. So here is what we are going to do. We'll replace the original parts with the new ones. I am going to replace the original underwear with my costume outfit, and replace the original body with my costume body. The first thing we need to do is align our new model with the original one. That means matching positions, rotation, and the scale. Select the object or armature, and use the Move tool to match its position. Then use the Scale tool, which is this one, to adjust the size so it fits over the original model properly. We are doing this to make sure it fits the original skeleton, so the animations will play correctly in the game. Once the model is aligned, positioned, and scaled properly, it's time to match the pose. Select the armature, the bones of your new model, then change the mode to pose mode. You'll probably notice things like hands or legs don't match the original pose perfectly, right? That's what we are going to fix. Start by selecting the bones that controls the hands. Then use the Rotate tool to adjust them. We have to adjust them so they match the original pose as closely as possible. You can also rotate, scale, and move the bones. Just make sure you're aligning them as closely you can. If you come to Pose Properties, from View Display, you can change the bone type. You have View Type to change. Also, if you check the In Front option, the bones that are inside the model become visible too. It helps, but it's a little messy. Okay, let's continue posing. Pay attention to the fingers. Those are the most important and most difficult thing. If they are not aligned right, they won't animate properly when the character tries to grab an object like a sword. Once the first hand is matching up, move on to the other one. Then go down to the legs, which are usually easier. Just match up everything. Alright, now the positioning is done. Your new model should match the original one almost exactly, but if something is still looks bit off, we can still edit it. Here is how. Switch to object mode, then select the model, and go into edit mode. Now head over to the wrench icon, and make sure these two options are enabled. This makes sure any pose adjustments we've done in the pose mode will carry over while we are in edit mode. Now you can begin editing in edit mode. And this step is actually important for something specifics we need to do. Even though we've aligned the body models, we haven't yet made sure it connects properly with the head. If we skip this step, you're going to end up with a gap or clipping at the chest or neck area, and that's gonna look bad in game. So how do we fix that? Well, we're going to bring in the head mesh that was made for this exact original body model. To do that, go back to FModel, and in the same folder where your body model is, there should also be a head skeleton that goes with it, goes with the body. For me, it's this one here. Just right click and save model, like we did before. Once it's saved, you'll find the file next to the body mesh. Now go back to Blender and import that head model into the same project using the same import settings. After it's imported, as you can see, the head and body clipping to each other. First, hide the original body model so we can focus better. You can do that by this little eye icon in the collection. Click on it to hide. Now, don't touch the head. Leave it as it is. Select the body or the out of it or both. Then go into edit mode and use the move, scale and rotate tools to match the body with the head. You can hide out of it and align body first, then the out of it, or opposite. You can also delete the parts you don't want, the parts that clips. What we are aiming for is to reduce the gap between the head and the body, making them appear seamlessly connected. And by the way, you can also adjust the head instead to fit the body, but don't do that just yet. We'll come back to this after we are done with the body completely. Alright, now that the body is properly aligned with the head, go ahead and delete the imported head mesh and its armature. We don't need that anymore. Then unhide the original body again. Perfect. Now it's time for the final step in Blender, weight painting. First, we need to clean up and prep the new model. Select your new model one object at a time and go to the wrench icon, modifiers tab. If there is an armature modifier on it, click the little arrow and choose apply. Do this for all parts of your new model. Now, select the new models again and go to the triangle icon, Object Data Properties. In the Vertex Group section, click the drop-down and choose Delete All Groups. Do it for all your objects. If there is a key, the shape key, in this section, delete those two. We don't need them. Now, let's handle the armature of the new model. Select the new model's armature, press Ctrl+A, and choose Apply All Transforms. Then just press Delete and remove the armature. We won't be using it anymore. Alright, let's get this done. Now, you have two choices here. You can either transfer weights object by object, or what I prefer, join all the new objects together and do it once. It's cleaner and faster. But before we joining anything, we need to make sure that each new object has the correct original material assigned to it. This part is really important, don't skip it. Here is how to do that. Select one of your new objects. For example, I select the new body model. Now, go to Material Properties tab, this icon. And if your new model on the Materials section already have materials, we want to remove them, all of them. Just clean it up. Then, click on this little icon next to the material slot. It shows a list of all available materials in your Blender file, in this project. What we are looking for is the material used on the original model that you're replacing. So, if you're replacing the original body, you want the body material from that original model. You can find the material names by expanding the original object, and this is the material. This helps to identify the correct one. Once you find it, just select it. Done. Now repeat the same process for other parts. In my case, the outfit model. I am replacing the underwear model. So I assign the underwear material from the original object. Just like that. Once all your new models have the correct original materials assigned, now we are ready to join. Select all the new objects by holding Ctrl and clicking each one. Then go to the Object menu and choose Join. Name it whatever you want. Now it's one single object. We'll do the same for the original model. Select them and join them too, so they are also a single mesh. Now we are all set for the weight transfer. Alright, let's transfer weights. Select your original object first, then hold Ctrl and select the new object, the one you want the weights to transfer to. Now switch to weight paint mode from here. It's this one. Your new model should turn blue. At the top, go to Weights menu and click Transfer Weights. A small window, a menu will appear. This is it. In that, change Vertex Mapping to Nearest Face Interpolated and set Source Layer by name. And that's it. The weight transfer is complete. Okay, switch back to Object mode. Next, we need to set up the armature modifier so the new model follows the original skeletons. Select your new object, go to Modifier Properties, click Add Modifier, and choose Armature under the Deform category. Then, in the Object field, here, choose the original model's armature. Done. Now let's test it. Select the original armature, and switch to Pose mode. And try to rotate or move some bones. If the model moves with them properly, then you've done everything correctly, which I did. Finally, once you're happy with how it moves, press A to select all bones. Then go to Pose menu, Clear Transform, All. That resets everything to default pose. Now, one of the most important steps before exporting is to rename your armature. Select your armature, double-click its name, and rename it to exactly armature. with capital A. This is required for Unreal Engine compatibility. Now, we need to delete the original model. We don't need it anymore. Delete everything you don't want to export. Only keep the things you want to export. And then put it under the armature, like this. We are good to go. Good. Now go to top left, click on File, Export, FBX. Now let's change some settings. Leave most of the settings as default, just make sure they match what I am showing. Now under the geometry section, set a smoothing to face. Next, go to armature section. Uncheck add leaf bones, check only deform bones. Done. Now pick a folder to export the file to, any place works. Next, and this is crucial, the file name. You need to name it exactly the same as the original PSK mesh file that you exported from FModel, the one we are editing right now. Copy that name and paste it here. Once all done, click Export FBX. And that's it. Your model is now exported and ready for Unreal. Okay, we are done with this Blender project. You can close it. But make sure to save it before closing it. That way, if you want to make more edits later, you can always reopen and do that. Alright, let's move on to the next step. Downloading and setting up Unreal Engine 5.3.2. We'll be getting it through the Epic Games Launcher. So, download Epic Games Launcher and install it. Now open it. If you don't already have an account, go ahead and create one. It's free. Then sign in. I am in. Now head over to the Unreal Engine tab on the left here. Then go to the library section. You'll see an option to add a new engine version. Click the plus sign to add one. Then click the version drop-down and select Unreal Engine 5.3.2. I already have it installed, this is it. So that's why it's not available for me here. But you will see it. Make sure to select version 5.3.2, then hit install. And that's it. It will start downloading. Once it's fully installed, go ahead and launch it. Give it a minute. It will prepare some shaders and files, and when it's ready, the project setup screen will appear. Here is how to configure it. Select Games, then pick the blank template. Set the project type to Blueprint. Choose Desktop. Set the quality to maximum. Uncheck ray tracing and the starter content. We don't need them. Name your project Oblivion Remastered. And you can change the save location if you want. I keep it as default. Then hit Create. Unreal Engine will load up your new project, and you are in. Welcome. What we are going to do here is very simple. Let's just tweak few settings before we import the model. First, go to the top menu and click on Edit. Edit Preferences. Go to Experimental. Then find Allow Chunk ID Assignment and make sure it's checked. Close that window. Next, go back to Edit. This time choose Project Settings. In the search bar at the top, type Chunk and make sure Generate Chunk ID is checked. That's it. Now close that as well. Unreal is now fully ready for us to import the FBX model. But before we do that, we need to create the correct folder structure inside the content browser. Let me show you exactly how to set that up. First, go ahead and maximize your content browser so you can see everything clearly. Now open FModel again and load the files. Next, find the original model you exported and edited. For me, it's the Nord female body. Once you find it, take a look at the folders section in FModel. This shows the full folder path. Starting from the content folder, we need to recreate this entire path inside Unreal. So here is how you do it. Put FModel to the side so you can still see the folder path, and go back to Unreal Engine. Inside your Oblivion Remastered project, open All in the content browser. Then go inside the content folder. Now, right-click inside the content folder and choose New Folder. Name this folder the next folder shown in your FModel path. For me, it's Art. Once you've made the Art folder, open it, then make another folder and name it Character, because that's the next folder in the path. Then open the Character, make another folder inside it, and name it Nord, because that's where my model is stored. And that's it. That's how you recreate the folder structure step by step, by following the exact path from FModel and replicating it inside Unreal. Now that we've done that, everything matches, we are finally ready to import the FBX model right into this folder. But before we actually import the FBX file, there is one more folder we need to create for my model. Let me explain why. My model uses two materials, one for the body and another for the underwear. But here is the thing. The underwear material isn't in the same folder as the model. So how do we know that? And how do we find out where that second material is? Here is how. Let's say you've made the mod and installed it. But in-game, it shows up with missing textures. The model looks gray or just completely textureless. That's a sign. So that's how you know you messed up. Now what we need to do is check materials inside the skeleton mesh we exported. For me, it's the Nord female body. Now when I open the model in FModel, I can see it uses two materials. One is for body material and the other is for underwear. And here is the key detail. The underwear material is listed with the name MIC Imperial Underwear F. But when I look inside the Nord models folder, the one we built earlier in the content browser, I only see the body material here. The underwear isn't here. So it must be coming from somewhere else. So how do we find it? Simple. In FModel, once you have your model open, look at the right-hand side. This is where all the data info shows up for that opened file. Click anywhere on this screen, then press Ctrl+F to bring up the search bar. Now, type in the name of the missing material. Type whatever you're trying to find. For me, it's MIC underscore Imperial underscore underwear underscore F. And hit enter. Boom, FModel finds it instantly. This is it. The purple highlight shows exactly where that material file is located. So open the folder section and go to this path. It's very similar to my model's path, except the final folder name. In my case, it's the Imperial folder. Now we know where that missing material is. This is the file. So let's go back to Unreal Engine and recreate that path too. In the content browser, open the character folder and create a new folder. Then name it Imperial. And that's it. That's the extra folder I needed. Yours can be different. Alright, let's start by importing the model into Unreal. First, go into the base model folder. For me, it's called Nord. Then navigate to import, click on this. And here, locate the FBX file we exported from Blender. Select it and click open. In the import settings, just leave everything as default and click import. Give it a few seconds to load. Once it's done, you should see your files show up here. Here is typically what you get. 3 files for the model, a skeleton mesh, which is the main model, a skeleton file, and a physics asset. You'll also get your materials with their original names preserved. Now let's apply the textures. First, locate your textures on your drive. These are mine, 2 for the body and 2 for the outfit. Drag and drop them into the mesh folder in Unreal. Just like that, they are imported. Next, we need to rename the new textures to match the original ones they are replacing. This is important because each material expects textures with specific names. For example, my body material has its own textures with original names. We need to rename our new textures to match these original names exactly. Alright, let's do this. So I've got 2 materials. One is in the Nord folder and the other is in the Imperial. We're gonna start with the Nord one. First, go into the Nord folder and find your material. I already know the name of mine. It's called Nord Body Female, and it is already set up in the Unreal Engine. Once you find it, open it. You don't need this, close this. Just take a look at the info. What we are looking for is the texture section. Scroll down a bit, and you'll see the textures parameters. These are your texture files. You can figure out which one is which, either by selecting and opening them, or just reading their names. It's usually obvious. The base color texture have a D, and the normal map have NNR in the end of their name. What we want here is the name of each texture file. Just copy the name of each. This is the name. Select it and copy. Now head back into Unreal Engine, find the texture image that matches this, and then rename it with the name you just copied. Do that for each texture one by one. Once you've finished with the Nord material, do the same thing for the one in the Imperial folder. Exact same process for the underwear material. Simple as that. Once all the renaming is complete, we assign the textures to their materials in Unreal. Before we assign the textures to the materials, let's quickly change a setting for the normal maps, otherwise you might run into some problems. In Unreal Engine, start by double-clicking on the normal map textures to open them. And in the settings here, in the details panel, look for compression setting and change it to masks, no sRGB, this option. Then click save. Make sure to repeat this to your other normal map as well. After that, let's assign the textures to materials. Start by opening the material. I'll begin with the body material. Move the material editor to the side so we can have a clear view. In the nodes section, select the existing node, which is this, then press delete to remove it. Next, drag and drop the base color texture for this material into the nodes section. Connect the RGB output of the texture to the base color input on the material, like this. Then drag and drop the normal map texture into the same area. Connect its RGB output into the normal map input of the material. Once connected, you should see the change here. After that, click Save from here. Now close the material and open the second one. Just like before, Remove the unnecessary node, drag and drop the base color texture, connect it. Then the same thing for the normal map. And hit save again, then close this too. Once you're done with all your materials, open your mesh file. This is it. You now should see the changes applied. The materials should already be automatically assigned to the correct slots, which are visible here. These are the slots. Because we didn't change any material names, they were original. They should already be assigned. So everything is looking good, and this is also gonna have it looks in the game. Alright, now let's get ready to package the project. First, we need to move the underwear material and its textures into the Imperial folder we created earlier. That's the correct path for them. To do this, hold Ctrl and select all relevant assets. Then drag and drop them into the Imperial folder like this. When promoted, select Move. Done. Now let's assign the chunk ID and package the project. Here is how it works. Select your mesh objects, these three files, and also the textures. Do not include the materials in this step. Just select the mesh files and textures like this. Once selected, right-click on them and go to Asset Actions. Then choose Assign to Chunk. In the Chunk ID window that appears, enter a number above 20 like 22 and remember it. Then click OK. Now go inside the Imperial folder, whatever other folder you have, and do the same thing, only for the textures, not the materials. Assign them to the same chunk ID. It was 22. And done. Time to package the project. Click on the save icon and make sure everything is saved. Then go to Platforms menu at the top. Choose Windows and select Package Project. When promoted, choose a location to save the packaged files. Make sure you know where this is. I set it as default. Finally, save. Now it's packaging. This can take a little time, so be patient. Once it's complete, you'll see a message that says Packaging completed. Now let's locate the packaged files. By default, they are in your Documents folder under Unreal Project, your project name, Windows, Oblivion Remastered, Content, Packs. In that folder, the last three files with the chunk ID you assigned to them are your mod files. These three files are mine. Let's finalize and install them. Rename each of these three files by adding _p with a capital P before the .pack. So just click on the file name and add _p at the end, like this. Do this for all the three. And done. To install the mod, go to your game installation directory. Navigate to Oblivion Remastered, Content, Packs. Create a new folder here and name it ~mods with a tilde at the beginning. Open that folder and place the three .pack files inside here. And that's it, you've installed the mod. Now launch the game and check it out. Since I replaced the base model, I need to deselect all armors in the inventory so I can see my base model. So in game I deselect the armors and there it is. The new model is showing up, looking great and animating properly. Alright, that's it. Now you know how to create, package, and install mods for the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. But we currently have two main issues. The first is that when I switching to first-person view, the character's hands don't appear. The second is the game crashes when I enter the character creation menu. Both of these problems seems to be related to materials. If your mod doesn't change materials, you likely won't run into them. Unfortunately, I can't fix every problem myself, but there is usually a solution out there. Things can go wrong at any time, and you might run into issues I didn't cover in the video. No matter how much I try to explain, new problems can always show up. Some I haven't even seen or figured out yet. That's why I recommend joining this Discord server. The invite link is in the video description. If you run into problems or want to try something different, this is the best place to get help. You can share your issue, look through the existing solutions, or ask me directly in the video comments, and I do my best to guide you. If I find fix for the first person or crashing issue, I'll update the video comments to let you know. And if you find a solution, please share it too. And with these exact same steps, you can import and modify any other 3D model. For example, here is my Nord character's head model. I exported using FModel, brought it into Blender to make any changes I want to it. Remember when I mentioned that you can also edit the head to better align the body model? Well, this is when you do it. Once you've finished making changes, just follow the exact same steps we've already gone through. You import it into Unreal Engine, place it alongside your object because it's in the same path, and package it. In Unreal, within the same project, you can keep your existing assets and simply import the new ones on top of them. But when you see the import settings, check this section and click on this to deselect the skeleton. Make sure to do this for the second mesh file. Then import and just make sure the folder paths are correct. For me, everything is in the same place, but I have some Imperial materials that I need to put them inside the Imperial folder. Once that's set up, I am good to go. I select the mesh files, right-click, and assign the chunk ID to them. If you want the entire mod to be one single mod file, assign the same chunk ID as the rest of the assets. But if you want them separately, give it a new chunk ID. Also, we don't need to add texture files in this case because we didn't replace the model. We just edited the existing one. And now in the package directory, you'll see I have two separate chunk IDs. 3 of these, the second ones, are for the body, and these 3 are for the head. Just install them in the same way as usual. That's it for now. In future, we might get more tools and better support, and I keep you updated as things evolve. If you run into any problems or have questions, leave a comment. And please consider donating if you can. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and good luck.
Show me what you've got.